Please be seated. I want to welcome everybody to our graduation ceremony this afternoon. My name is Gary Dodge. I'm the immediate past president of the Michigan Court Administration Association, and I'm the course coordinator for the Certified Court Manager candidates. I want to welcome family members and all the people that are watching this through live streaming. Right now we have court professionals graduating today that represent all levels of court that we have in the state from all compass points on the map throughout the state. We are very grateful and honored to have Supreme Court Justice Justice Markman, who will be presiding over this graduation for us. We also have Margaret Allen, National Director for Programs at the Institute of Court Management. At this time, please join me in our appreciation to Justice Markman for being with us today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's an honor to be here this afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this ceremony. I don't know how much you know about this building or this courtroom, but this is the courtroom of the Michigan Supreme Court, the body under Michigan's Constitution that superintends our state's single system of justice. Unlike trial courts, which might be in session or which might operate on a daily basis, the Michigan Supreme Court typically meets here for only 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 days a month, and we might hear a dozen cases during that time. There's never, as there is right now when we're in session, only a single judge on the bench. There's no jury. There's no examination or cross-examination of witnesses. There's no introduction of evidence. There's nothing but 2 counsels in our courtroom presenting the court with their understandings of the law and their arguments as to why the lower courts have erred in some particular respect. Most of the work of the court in resolving the 200 or so cases that we get each month are resolved. Most cases are resolved in weekly conferences and after discussions or debates that might consist of dozens of emails and similar communications, and on the basis of written pleadings and briefs from the parties. We grant oral argument only on what are viewed as some of the most difficult and inconsequential of our appeals. This and Adoption Day are the only days in this court in which we have only winning parties. I'm afraid during the rest of the year we have winners and losers, but on those 2 days a year we're blessed to have only winning parties, and we're pleased to have all of the winning parties with us today. You'll notice that we have cameras in the back of our courtroom, and that what we're doing is being streamed on the Michigan Supreme Court website. It used to be that we were also on something called Michigan Government TV, which is still on most cable stations around the state. And Michigan Government TV covers various hearings of the administrative agencies and the executive agencies and the legislature. And I was told one time by the head of Michigan Government TV that we were absolutely the least popular show that was on there. I can only say you have to be here to get a sense of what it's like. You're always welcome to be here, of course. We are always in public session when we are here, but as I say, we have one lawyer arguing the law from his perspective and the other lawyer arguing the law from his contrary perspective, and sometimes it's interesting and sometimes it's less interesting. I would hope that each of you, before you leave this building, if you haven't already visited these aspects of the building, will look at some of the portraits we have outside the courtroom. It's kind of an historical assemblage of portraits. We have the first this and the first that, the first Civil War veteran, the first justice of the court to have attended law school in Michigan, and things of that sort. So if you have a few minutes, you might take a look at the portraits that are there. We also have a variety of historical artifacts that are placed around the rotunda. And of course, if you haven't seen our Learning Center, which is on the ground floor, I would urge you to do that. We have quite a few thousands of students who come to visit our Learning Center when they're here, and there's a lot of buttons to push and bells and whistles, and you might enjoy doing some of those things, but some of the tests that you might encounter are really pretty difficult, so I urge you to prepare for the worst. Today we celebrate the conscientious and diligent efforts and the commitment to professionalism of 50 members of our Michigan Judicial Branch family, each of whom is a graduate of the Certified Court Managers Program conducted under the auspices of the National Center for State Courts and its educational and training arm, the Institute for Court Management, to whom we on this court express our appreciation for having introduced this program into Michigan and sharing today in our celebration of its first graduate class here in our Hall of Justice. I would give special thanks also to our Michigan Judicial Institute, which is the training arm of the Michigan Supreme Court, and Kathy Weitzel for their leadership that they've displayed inside and outside this building. And I believe there are 5 graduates who actually work in this building for our principal state administrative operation, the State Court Administrator's Office, which is located just below where we are right now. Special thanks also to the Michigan Court Administration Association and its most recent past presidents, Gary Dodge and Kevin McKay, for whom I think we've already made a special presentation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we're honored to have been able to do that. My understanding is that the procedure today is that we will honor each of our 50 graduates individually in just a moment. But before that, I want to say just a few additional words about the importance of the program that we are celebrating today. When Michigan residents interact with their court system, sometimes voluntarily and sometimes not, they rightfully expect that not only will the judge or justice handle their individual cases courteously, responsibly, and in accordance with the law, but that the administration of the process in which they must engage will operate efficiently and respectfully as well. We are each of us public servants, and each of us bear the responsibility to comport ourselves in a courteous and supportive manner with the public with whom we interact. My court, for example, has as many as 300 cases that we sometimes consider in a month. And there is a temptation sometimes to look at these cases as part of an assembly line, but I think that we have to work to avoid that. The 7 of us justices have to work to avoid that, because these are individuals coming before the court on a regular basis who doubtlessly stay awake at night worrying about their cases, who lost sleep fretting about the predicaments that they might be in. Their freedom, their fortune may be at stake, and I think each of us on the court do everything we can to try to look upon them as individuals rather than just participants in the latest cases that come before us. And I'm sure that in your own capacities you try to do much the same thing. Likewise, the taxpayers, of course, are also critical stakeholders in our process, and they have a right to expect that the resources they provide for this court and for the judiciary around the state will be assigned to their best use. Finally, I'd like to highlight 2 important points that I'd like to note as to why this graduation is not the end but only the beginning of the process. First, it's my understanding that with your certification, those before us will now be able to move on to take further courses to become either a certified court executive or beyond that an ICM fellow, so long as you don't try to eliminate the judges altogether. We're happy with that. Second, I'm pleased to report that with this term's courses now complete, I think there are 17 personnel who are now being certified to teach future ICM courses, and I expect that Ms. Allen will share some more information perhaps about that. So once again, let me thank you for the courtesies that you've shown me in letting me preside over this procedure. We do hope you'll visit our Learning Center and look at our little portrait gallery outside the courtroom. And once again, let me extend my congratulations to each of you as ICM graduates on the work ethic that you've shown and on the sense of professionalism and the dedication that you've shown to carrying out your responsibilities to the people of Michigan to the highest degree possible. Thank you for what you've done, and we will look forward to the ceremony now.
Good afternoon. Justice Markman, judges, guests, and members of the class. As Justice Markman said, my name is Margaret Allen. I'm the Director of National Programs at the Institute for Court Management at the National Center for State Courts. And in that role, I oversee the offering of all ICM courses, whether they're offered by us at ICM, through our partners, or our online courses. And I can honestly say there are lots of times I don't get to be with classes when they graduate, and I'm thrilled to have spent so much time with you throughout your program and to be here with you today in this beautiful courtroom. In fall 2016, I received a call. I had just started my position, and I received a call from Kevin McKay, then the president of the Michigan Court Administration Association. He's exploring some grant options to bring the courses to Michigan. And when we stayed in touch, I got to be in touch with the new president, Gary Dodge, to kind of carry things across the finish line, and we have done that. Today, 50 of you are earning the Certified Court Manager credential. And so about a year and a half ago, or even a little less, I think, you came together in pursuit of a goal to pursue information about court administration and explore court administration through coursework. So to get to this point, the individuals we're celebrating today each took 6 courses on what I'll call the nuts and bolts of court administration. So case flow management, human resources, project management, finance, and performance measurement, and plus one other. And then you've been together several times over the last year and a half or so, and I was overhearing as I was speaking with you and just walking around and kind of eavesdropping. I heard many people say, we've become so close as a class. You know, I'm really keeping in touch with people, even between classes. If I have an issue or a question, I can call my colleagues. And I've seen this, I'm happy to say, many times before with other classes. And so I predict that you will continue to be on each other's speed dial in the months and years to come, perhaps even for the rest of your careers. And so you'll really value that support and counsel that you have from your colleagues. I'm going to frame my remarks around 2 quotes. The first is from Isaac Newton, who said, "If I've seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants." So I'm going to remember some folks that have come before us. I think it's appropriate to highlight the National Center for State Courts motto, which is taken from the Magna Carta, written over 800 years ago. "To no one will we sell, to no one deny or delay right or justice." When the writers of the Magna Carta drafted the document, it was necessary to say these words because it wasn't a given that justice would not be sold, denied, or delayed. Today, we work diligently to improve the administration of justice to prevent these outcomes. Next, I would name former United States Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger as another giant. Chief Justice Burger founded the National Center for State Courts as a central resource for the state courts. So you get our title, the National Center for State Courts. And his vision was to provide support and resources to courts all across the country, and that's grown even internationally now. And we see that his vision has come to fruition through all the different activities of the National Center for State Courts. There are conferences, publications, research, consulting, and of course, education. The original goal for the Institute for Court Management traces its history to Chief Justice Warren Burger's call for improved management of court administration. And the last giant I'd like to highlight is the founding dean of the Institute for Court Management, Ernie Friesen. He's known as the father of court administration, and he has offered the profession the purposes of courts: over 10 or 15 years, he taught all around the country, both judges and court staff, and he would always ask, so what are we really doing here? What are the purposes of courts? And after collecting that data for 10 or 15 years, he came up with 8 measures that still inform our values of the courts today. Those are to perform individual justice in individual cases, also to appear to do justice in individual cases, to provide a forum for the resolution of legal disputes, to protect individuals against the arbitrary use of government power, provide a formal record of legal status, provide a deterrent to criminal behavior, to rehabilitate people convicted of crime, and to separate some convicted people from society. In our course, we even came up with some additional possible purposes of courts. But I think it's important to mention these on a day like today because we in the courts serve these purposes daily and, of course, adapt as new needs arise. And my second quote comes from John Donne, that no man is an island, and it's been said before, but it's worth repeating. I want to thank all those who played a part in providing this opportunity. We've heard from Gary Dodge already, Kevin McKay, Kathy Weitzel here from the Michigan Judicial Institute. We had different folks coming in to serve as proctors. And then there are a couple other important people to mention. First, your colleagues back at your court who covered various things for you, allowing you the possibility of being here. And then I really want to thank our friends and family members who are here today. You've played a role in this achievement. You kept the home fires burning, if you will, so that your loved ones could be away to pursue this professional development opportunity. All right. Our work in the courts is meaningful because we're part of a large and complex system. The judiciary is interconnected, and our overarching goals are the same whether we serve at the federal, state, or at the local level. So to put it another way, courts everywhere uphold the same values. Today, I've shared a few thoughts about why the work that we do is so important. To the class, I congratulate you. To our guests, I thank you for being with us on this momentous day to celebrate this achievement. To Justice Markman, I thank you again for your presence and recognition of this achievement. To the past and rising leadership of the Michigan Court Administration Association, I thank you on behalf of the class for all that you've done, are doing, and will do in the future to support professional development for those who strive daily to make the courts better here in Michigan. And I'll thank also, Justice Markman mentioned the almost dozen and a half folks who have gotten certified. So Michigan, in addition to this class graduating, Michigan's moving into a new phase as a licensee partner of the Institute for Court Management. So starting in January, a new group of court managers is going to come and take the courses that this group has just taken. Some of these folks will be serving as faculty. For the courses that this group took, we had national faculty come in from the Institute for Court Management from various courts around the country. But you're going to have Michigan colleagues teaching Michigan colleagues, and we've seen time and time again that's so effective and so valuable. I'm going to close going back to Chief Justice Warren Berger. He said that concepts of justice must have hands and feet to carry out justice in every case. I submit to all of us gathered here today that we are those hands and those feet. As we walk together in our quest to improve the administration of justice as judicial officers and court managers, we may each hold different tools, but I'm confident we can and we will fulfill the demand posed by those who forged the Magna Carta. To no one will we sell, to no one deny or delay right or justice. Congratulations again, and it's with pleasure that I invite Gary Dodge back to the podium.
I want to add my congratulations to all of you on this great achievement here. It's significant by any measure. I'm really pleased, too, that this group among themselves have decided that they're going to take the next step, as Justice Markman mentioned, and you're going to go after the certified court executive. I think that is just outstanding. Statistically, some of you are going to go on and you're going to become a court fellow, and I congratulate you now for that, because that is the pinnacle of court administration by any measure that you take on there. You're going to graduate here in a few minutes, but your job really isn't done. We've been given a lot of information over the last couple of years. You've now got an obligation to take that information, go back to your courts, and put it to use. You need to share it with your staff. You need to identify staff that might be future court managers and get them into this program so that we keep the legacy going. Jennifer, Tom, and 6 people now make up the education committee. They are going to assume stewardship of this program going forward. We've got our very next class that is going to start in January and begin the 2-year program. Group 2, as we've come to call them, to my Group 1. I would be remiss at this point if I didn't take just a couple minutes from the past year and a half and just recognize a couple of people and organizations. The first of which is the State Justice Institute. Without the grants that they gave us over the past 2 years, this probably might not have happened. Who knows? But they did, and you certainly got a heck of a bargain. I want to thank Margaret Allen next and the folks at the Institute for Court Management. Margaret has been a champion in our corner. She and her boss went to the State Justice Institute when I was having, shall we say, difficulties with them on my 2nd-year grant. And she spoke up on our behalf. Because of the financial situation, she and her boss came to an agreement that they would waive a significant portion of their customary fees for this past week here, for the past 2 weeks, without which we couldn't have trained faculty in these last 4 courses. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but that is just very, very significant. Margaret, it's been my great pleasure to collaborate with you on this, and I thank you very much. As Justice Markman said, I want to thank Kathy Weitzel here of the Michigan Judicial Institute. She has been simply marvelous helping us with the logistics of this thing. She and her staff did all the copying, all of the binding of almost 400 binders that we've given out during the course of this program. That, I mean, you've seen the binders. You know what a task that is. So Kathy, I am deeply indebted to you, and she's up here somewhere making the live stream happen. I need to thank Tabitha Wedge. She's handled all the financials of this thing, making sure it ran smooth. She's been a rock for somebody for me to be able to bounce ideas off of and make sure that we put on the best course possible. Elaine Moore, for continuing to show that she really does soar above the rest. She's always there helping with logistics, getting all the snacks for you folks. I mean, running the, just so many things, too many to name here. So Tabitha, Kathy, Elaine, you guys rock. Okay, that's all there is to it. And then lastly, we had to have, by contract, people that would man the front desk here to make sure that everybody signed in and signed out at the end of the day. So I need to thank Elaine Moore and Dave Walsh and Julie Fenn and Vicki Cordier for giving their time to help us out with this. So with that said, and without further delay, let's have a graduation. Catherine Ambrose, 10th District Court, Battle Creek. Jamie Batdorf, 58th District Court, Grand Haven. Tracy Beauchamp, Houghton County Probate and Family Court, Houghton. Tammy Bonet, 44th District Court, Royal Oak. Julie Bovenson, 16th Circuit Court, Mount Clemens. Lynn Bullard, 36th Circuit Court, Pawpaw. LaWanda Crosby, 36th District Court, Detroit. Carrie Curtis, Isabella County Trial Court, Mount Pleasant. Crystal Dye, 67th District Court, Flint. Amy Etzel, 56A District Court, Charlotte. Nicole Evans, 54B District Court, East Lansing. Patrick Finnegan, 60th District Court, Muskegon. Lisa Fusick, 14A District Court, Ypsilanti. Annette Guattari Ross, 37th District Court, Warren. Christian Getting, 37th Circuit Court, Battle Creek. James Gibbs, 18th District Court, Westland. You bet, buddy. Christy Jeffrey, 8th Circuit Family Court, Juvenile Division in Stanton. Shannon Kepke, 10th District Court, Battle Creek. Michael Lefebvre, Ogama County Probate Court, West Branch. Rachel Lindley, 36th Circuit Court, Pawpaw. Nick Little, 17th Circuit Court, Grand Rapids. Sheila Long, Tuscola County Courts, Carroll. Paula McGlone, 10th Circuit Court, Saginaw. Kevin McKay, Scale, Trial Court Services, Lansing. Cindy McKinney-Vaj, 54th Circuit Court, Caro. Michael McMillan, 31st Circuit Court, Port Huron. Corinne Mishlak, 54th Circuit Court, Caro. Julie Miller, Crawford County Courts, Grayling. Karen Moore, Indigent Defense Consultant, Harrison. Bobby Morrow, Scale, Trial Court Services, Lansing. Michelle Muscat, Scale, Trial Court Services, Lansing. Deanna Namur, 43rd District Court, Hazel Park. Dana O'Neill, 52-4, District Court, Troy. Kelly Moore Owen, 36th District Court, Detroit. Karen Rutowski, Huron County Probate Court, Bad Axe. Cheryl Sanborn, 15th District Court, Ann Arbor. Cheryl Sanborn, or Sarah Santini, Scale, Trial Court Services, Lansing. Matthew Sawicki, 17th District Court, Redford. You bet, buddy. You bet. Megan Shedd, 73B, District Court, Bad Axe. Renee Schlide, 46, District Court, Southfield. Dan Skorich, 65A District Court, St. John's. Natalie Stovjeska, 16th District Court, Livonia. Andrew Thalhammer, 17th Circuit Court, Grand Rapids. Jennifer Tom, 51st District Court, Waterford. Tanya Todd, 61st District Court, Grand Rapids. Sandra Vanderhyde, 14th Circuit Court, Muskegon. Sheriff Vizinia, Grand Traverse Tribe of Ottawa, Proshabastown. Don Wagner, 86th District Court, Traverse City. Tabitha Wedge, 3B, District Court, Centerville. Stacy Westra, Scale, Trial Court Services, Lansing. Could we get a round of applause for our brand new graduates? That'll conclude our graduation ceremony. Please drive safely going home. Thank you very much, everybody. We do want the class to stay back for a picture, if that's okay, please. We want to remind everybody one more time, too, about the Learning Center that's on the ground floor. If you do have a couple minutes as you're exiting, please take a couple minutes and give that a look, please. Absolutely, sir. Get the tall guys at the back.